I don't know if this has ever happened to you before. Has anybody ever accidentally called you like their ex's name or something like that? Maybe it has. And for me, this happened like on a different scale. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Young, Hot, and Divorced. I'm Tori, and it's been a minute since I've seen you. So I feel like I owe you a super good story. And a lot of you have requested dating stories, and I figured this is the perfect episode to squeeze those into because little life update is that I am dating again. So I am back on the apps. And when I say like back on the apps, I'm only on Hinge. It's going as expected, I guess you could say. I definitely have met a couple of guys and have gone on a couple of dates, and it's been a really good time so far. But obviously, nothing has stuck yet. And I'm really going into this with the mindset that I really want somebody to pick me for me and there not be anything about me that they feel like they need to change or doesn't work. And I know that that's like an obvious, but I feel like in my last relationship, there were things that were just inherently me that he wasn't cool with. And I totally get that, but I'm not changing, is kind of where I'm at. And it's very take it or leave it. And I know that sounds harsh and is like not the attitude to go into, but whatever, that's that. So yeah, back on the apps and like casually dating, and so far so good. I'm sure that I am getting some content for you guys during this time. But one of my situationships recently ended, and I had been dying to share this story because it was honestly unreal. And I couldn't at the time because I don't like to talk about things like as they're happening, but now this is over, and now I can look back on it and laugh and think that this is such a funny story. And, at the time it wasn't as funny, but I think that you guys will think it's funny. So let's get into the story. I don't know if this has ever happened to you before. Has anybody ever accidentally called you like their ex's name or something like that? Maybe it has. And for me, this happened like on a different scale. So I'm in this situationship with this guy, and I know that it's going to be like fairly casual, but I start catching feelings as one does in a situationship. And I just had been putting so much of myself into this relationship that clearly wasn't going anywhere. But we really had a good time together, and I wasn't ready to get rid of it entirely. So I was helping him one day on his computer, and a message popped up. He had just gotten a text from a girl that said, "I want to cuddle." And it was kind of awkward because he's sitting right next to me and I'm on his computer, and it's kind of like we both can't pretend that we didn't just see that. So I'm like, well, okay. Like now seems like the moment to have the exclusivity talk. And I know this wasn't going to go well for him. So we have that conversation, but he's very avoidant, and we kind of push it off till later. But we had a date planned for the rest of the night, and it got a little awkward because he admitted that the date had originally been planned for somebody else. And I was like, okay, not the worst thing in the world. I'm also getting over the fact that, this girl texted him, "I want to cuddle." Okay, not the worst thing in the world, but it's definitely like on my mind and kind of affecting my mood. So I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, and I'm also not trying to like show all my cards because I really like him. I didn't really realize how much I liked him until like these things started happening. And I realized that like I wasn't able to play it cool and brush it off as much as I thought I could. So he keeps calling me like a sourpuss, and that like I'm going to ruin the night. And I'm like, you know what? Just give me a second. Like, I'm going to shake it off. It's going to be fine. And eventually I did. I did shake it off, and things were fine. We continued like nothing really happened, and we're able to joke about it. So, like, no big deal. Things continue, and we decide to take a trip to Mexico. And we're having a great trip. Everything's going really well. I'm kind of feeling like this trip to Mexico is going to be make or break for us. And it's leaning towards make. Like, we're together for, an uninterrupted amount of time, literally stranded at a resort. And we're doing great. Like, we're having the best time. And eventually we decide to go to the spa. And we both love the spa. So this was something that we were really looking forward to. And we get to the spa, and I kid you not, the front desk says, "Welcome, Mr. So and so." And then he goes to me and he says, "And you must be Molly." I'm not Molly. My name is Tori, but I know who Molly is. Molly is one of his exes. So he had clearly gone there with her before. They like had it in their records. But not only that, like, I feel like I'm publicly humiliated at this point. Like, I've made it clear that I really like him. He's getting texts from girls saying, "I want to cuddle." Now they're calling me the wrong name at the spa. And then they kind of made it worse, not better. They then called me like Mrs. So and so, who is like technically his ex wife. And I was like, ugh, this broke me. This was the moment that I realized that I had feelings for this guy and I was no longer in control of what I thought I was in control of. And I cried. It takes a lot to get me to cry. Like, going through my last breakup, I don't think I cried at all. And in this moment, I couldn't even help it. Like, I walked away and it wasn't like a hysterical cry. It was just like tears falling down my face. Like, couldn't believe that happened. So disappointed. Was really thinking that like this trip was going to turn this situationship into a relationship. And it clearly was not. So again, we are stranded in this resort and I don't want this to ruin our trip. And he doesn't want to either. And I have to admit, like, he was really sweet about apologizing and like not to like bash the resort, but do you know how bad that could have been? Like, people take their mistresses to the same hotels that they take their wives. And what if they had called the wife the mistress's name? Like, they could have ruined a marriage. If we were married, like, that would have been insane. So, rightfully so, that was a big uh-oh on the hotel's part, not excusing, what happened. But that really wasn't like his bad. So again, I was like, just give me a minute. I'm going to shake it off. But it definitely took more time this time to shake it off. I would say like the rest of the day was pretty much rough. And then the next morning I woke up and things were okay. And we finished the trip strong. And then my stupid ass thinks that, okay, we made it through that. Maybe now he'll be ready for a relationship. And guess what? He wasn't. So that was all fine. I got my answers and I just couldn't believe that like I had been called his ex-girlfriend's name at a spa. Like, that was a story. That was really a story. I was floored. That had never happened to me before. But the funny thing is that like as I keep dating, obviously I'm having new experiences and different things are happening. And I have to say, I think I've said this before, that I'm always grateful for the process. Like, I don't really share as I'm dating, but I will right now because why not? I'm currently seeing this guy and I had a really, really good first kiss and can't remember like the last time I was pleasantly surprised by a first kiss, but this one like really set the bar high. It's just like a little experience that I think I haven't had in a while. The other thing was that I hadn't really dated since I lived in Miami because I went on a couple of dates last summer, but I met my ex-boyfriend couple months into moving. And then I got back together with a situationship that, obviously ended. And then I had a first date. And this is the same date where I had the first kiss, the really good first kiss. And I was so nervous for this date. It's really funny because I'm a pretty confident person and it takes a lot to make me nervous. Can't remember the last time I was nervous to go on a date. And it was so funny. I was talking to my best friend and she was like, "You nervous?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm shitting my pants. Like, feel like I'm going to throw up." I was so nervous. And I realized like I need to not put so much pressure on myself right now because I have already thought way too far ahead. And I'm like, what if he doesn't like this? And what if he says this? And what if this happens? And what if that happens? You're like, what if he smells? And what if I have to make an escape plan? And like, there are all these things that go through your mind. And I'm like, let's just take this a minute at a time. So I ended up having an amazing first date, which kind of is great and kind of sucks at the same time because like the bar is so high. But like I said, it was an amazing first date. It lasted like 4 hours. And I feel like that's how get a good gauge of if you guys are clicking or not. And then obviously we kissed and it was just so nice. And I just loved the way he was touching me. And it reminded me that there are like other guys out there and there are other vibes out there. And I think I was really hung up on this situationship for a while. And I'm actually glad that I am taking the time to date again. Like I said, it's so funny because anytime you go on a first date, you never know if it's going to be your last first date. Like every single one of them could be the last first date you ever go on, the last first kiss you ever have. You really have no idea. So I think that aspect of it has kind of like given me butterflies and like makes me nervous about what I'm wearing and what I look like. And I do remember like my last first kiss and my last first date when I ended up getting married. And it was crazy to think like, oh my God, that's never going to happen again. Like I'm never going to feel those butterflies and that excitement of like a first date. And I think there's positives in every situation. And I think one of the positives in getting divorced is that I do get to experience that again. And I have said before that falling in love is my favorite feeling in the world. And to be able to do it again is such a blessing. Anyway, like I was saying, I had an amazing first date with this guy and now I'm fucked because I like him too much. And I know this is like an issue for me. I feel like I get fixated on one guy. And I think that's how it's supposed to work. I need to get better at like spreading myself out, not sexually, because I definitely don't believe in that. But I think that dividing my attention between people is much healthier than being like laser focused on one person. I think that's typically how I approach things, but I've realized that it's just too consuming for me. I get way too in my head and wrapped up and overthinking and overanalyzing. And I just need some chill vibes right now. I need nothing so serious. I need nothing like weighing on me. I have a lot going on as usual. Something kind of comforting and calm feels best right now. And not getting obsessed with anybody is also very key here. But I'm having fun and it's really a good time. So I wanted to give you guys a little life update in a different direction as well. Something I haven't really spoken about in a couple episodes, but that is my co parenting experience with my ex husband. And I will give props where props are due. So I think that a lot of the time, I don't want to say I'm complaining, but I'm saying it how it is and it ain't so good. But I can finally say something great and I love being able to. So my ex-husband is showing up. He is showing up more than he ever has. And I am beyond grateful and excited. And I can tell that the kids are feeling it too. The other day he was here and the kids went to school and they drew like daddy with hearts and like I heart dad cards. And it made my heart so happy that they were happy and they felt loved and they felt seen. And it was super exciting to me because he chose to be here. And I hadn't really seen that from him in the past year. So the last couple of months, I have to say, have been pretty good in that sense. Don't get me wrong. I still, we're not best friends or anything like that, but I will give him props where props are due. And, he deserves a round of applause for taking a step and showing up more. Like, while it might not be perfect and, everything that you wished it would be, I have to say that, like, any step in the right direction is just that, a step in the right direction. And I want to encourage him and I want to applaud him for doing a great job. For him, that's a great job. And any effort is appreciated. I never want him to feel like I'm tearing him down or pushing him away because the truth is that what I want is for him to be around. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the kids. Obviously, I know not to get my hopes up and hold my breath, but it's exciting for now. Ooh, another thing to talk about. Big change in my life. Like, if you know me, your jaw is going to drop to the floor. Like, you're not going to recognize me. It's the funniest thing. And I can already see like my friends watching this video and like their mouths open. I just started budgeting, like really budgeting. I've mentioned before that I am in a fair amount of debt, and right now it's about $35,000, which is pretty manageable, but still uncomfortable. And I have a plan and things are going well, but I've never really been taught how to budget before. And I'm figuring it out for the first time. I have this really good system in place where one day I'll show you, I'll make a video of it, but I have a book, a binder, and in the binder, there are individual envelopes for individual categories. So I'll put a set amount of money in the coffee envelope, the boys envelope, my beauty envelope, whatever it is that we spend money on. I have it budgeted. And when there's no more money in the envelope, there's no more money. I'm not perfect. I'm trying. This is like my one step in the right direction. Not going to lie. I have taken on a couple of larger expenses that were not budgeted for, but I just see a good opportunity and I take it. I will definitely be working on this and trying to do better. But I feel like right now, while I have the ability to pay for certain things that like we really do need, that's okay. So something we're going to be doing is painting the house, which is really exciting to just kind of get a fresh start in here. I think that the boys will feel like their house is more their home and we can start decorating it the way that we want to and things like that. The other thing that I recently spent a fair amount of money on is a vacuum cleaner. And it's so funny. Like, I have never in my life thought about a vacuum cleaner being an expense. And I've always had a Dyson. And I never thought twice. It was like, oh, the other ones don't work. Like, what am I going to use? The Dirt Devil that like I played with as a kid? Like, no, of course not. And now I'm like looking at vacuum cleaners that are like $500 and $600. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't need that. But the shitty $100 one that I ordered from Amazon is like kaput. So that lasted less than a year. And all of my Dysons have like lasted forever. I don't think any of them have ever like failed, but eventually I've replaced them. And I was an idiot. When I moved from Miami to New York, I was just so rushed in the process and couldn't handle the logistics of getting everything out of my apartment and having it all shipped here and packing it myself that I ended up throwing out a ton of valuable things. And had I known what I know now, I wouldn't have done that. So I was kind of under the impression that I was going to move to New York and figure things out fairly quickly for myself and basically be able to replace everything that I had and had left behind in Miami. And, to my surprise, that is not where I'm at. I am in a very different position. I think it's important to be honest about that too, because obviously it's something that's frowned upon, very much like divorce is debt. And it's very real. Like, I'm not going to lie. I put my life on credit cards so that I could maintain our lifestyle and have us be comfortable and keep on keeping on for as long as I did. And I've explained that the way that I am making money now is by selling the nice things that I've acquired over the years. So that's really helping chip away at this debt. And I feel like I'm learning to be financially responsible for the first time in my life. And I feel like if you know me and you're watching this, you're probably like, yeah, girl, you're going to fail in a minute. And fingers crossed that I'm able to make it. But like I said, even a little step in the right direction is a step in the right direction. And the fact that I'm aware for a really long time, up until super recently, I wouldn't even check my checking account. Like, it was scary for me. I was scared to see how much money was in there, or more so, like how much money wasn't in there. And now I'm comfortable looking at it and working with it. And even that is, a huge step for me. Obviously, I've had this debt for a while, and there has definitely been some sort of mental block where I just haven't been able to face it. And I know that's not a good thing when you're dealing with debt and interest and things like that, but it's just like my thing. I feel like how hoarders just can't get out of their cycle, or like when you're depressed and your house just goes to shit and you just can't keep up with the day to day, which as I'm looking around is like kind of where I'm at. I would say less depressed, more overwhelmed. That's where I'm at right now. The boys are at an age right now where they're picking on each other and trying to instigate and start fights with each other. That is driving me insane because there's yelling and screaming and crying going on. But not only that, it's mom, mom, mom. And I've had enough. Like, I need to be able to drive safely and not hear this shit going down in the car. And I need to be able to focus and remember that I'm boiling water and things like that. And it's been very difficult, not having much of a break from that craziness. And to tell you the truth, when they get home from school, I'm exhausted. Again, maybe not the healthiest thing. And Health by Amanda Robin, if you are watching this, please just skip this part. But I have decided that I need to rely on energy drinks. And at Health by Amanda Robin, I'm sure you have some healthier options, which I would love to hear about. But right now, I'm going to be so honest. I am drinking the white peach flavored Red Bulls. And along with that, I have some of the Blooms and Nalani every now and then. But I think that I'm going to kind of make that part of my routine. Almost like what was that called? A 5-hour energy shot. If you remember those, they like set around like the 3 to 4 p.m. crash time. That's what I need. I need like another pick me up to get through the second half of the day. And the caffeine in the Diet Coke and the coffee, etc., is just not doing it. I need like either Adderall or one of these energy drinks. And honestly, they feel pretty similar. So I'm filming on a new camera. It's my first camera ever. And I'm just praying that it's actually filming right now. Because if it's not, and this episode goes to waste, I'm going to have a really hard time. What else is going on? Another thing I wanted to mention is that earlier in the month, I hit the 2-year anniversary of my hysterectomy, and it hit me really, really hard this year. It didn't last year. I think that was because my life had just turned upside down and I found out we were moving to New York and things were just crazy. I probably just like brushed right over it. But this year I realized, and I had been thinking about it a lot, and more so like the loss of the child and never being able to process that properly. That was really hard. And also the fact that the hysterectomy is when the baby was delivered. And I asked the doctor to take a picture of the baby when they took him out. And I was looking at that photo and I was like, this baby doesn't even have a name. I really want to give him a name. And I just broke because as a mother, it's just so hard to fathom that you weren't able to protect your baby. And i- it's a really tough thing to think about. And it's definitely been consuming me more than it ever has. And I feel very alone in it too, because my ex-husband and I don't have a relationship anymore. And that's the person that went through it with me. And I feel like, understands what I went through the most and just leaves me to feel very alone in that sense. I don't know many people who have been in my position who have lost pregnancies and then also their ability to carry another child. I mean, it's really just like a double loss. And it's tough. It's tough. But I want to be honest and I want to share what's going on in my life. And that was really hard for me. And I couldn't even post about it like on my story. And as much as I want to just like acknowledge that he's real and he was living and he was here and he was mine, I can't even get myself to do it because it hurts still so badly. I take pictures of myself often, like when I'm not happy or if I'm going through something hard. I have pictures of myself, like they're not like good pictures. I'm not like posing for them, but like I take the photo because I want to see the real things that I went through. I don't want to see all of the, sure, I do want to see all of the beautiful picture perfect moments too, but part of life is going through these hard things and these challenges and these challenging times. And I was a wreck while I was in Miami earlier this month. Also, I went to Miami. That's something I'll talk about in a second. And I was taking pictures of myself like in fucking tears. And I could see the pain on my face, which was just unlike anything I had ever seen. at least in a long time from me. And yeah, I just want to acknowledge that that grief and that pain was real and has absolutely affected me and my mental health this past month. But with that said, I did get the opportunity to go to Miami this month, which was so exciting and so needed and such a nice breath of fresh air. I realized that dating is so much more fun in Miami. No offense to the guys here in New York, but the guys in Miami are just so much hotter. I mean, like, this might not be your forever partner or anything like that, but my God, for a good time, there are plenty of options. I sent a picture of this guy that I went out with to my mom when I was in Miami, and she's like, "Who is that beautiful specimen?" And I was like, just proof to me that I still got it. So then after my trip to Miami, I was like, I don't ever want to date in New York again. And then I met the guy that I told you I had that first date with. And now I'm pretty happy. But again, now I'm like, fuck, I hope it works out. Is that the worst? You're like, oh, I actually had a good time. And then you're like, oh, fuck, I had a good time. It's like, I love this and I hate this at the same time. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this little chit chat life update. I'm excited to keep sharing, my dating stories with you guys and the truth about how I feel about dating this time around. It takes a lot to like get back on the apps and be like ready to do that again. And I'm looking forward to the stories and the content. And, I'll do it for the plot. I've also realized through this dating process that I am not the nonchalant girl. I am not the girl that's going to, wait for you to text me and wait 10 minutes to text back and like whatever that is. Like if I've got something on my mind, I'm going to text you. And if my phone is in my hand, I'm going to text you back right away because that's just me. I'm not playing a game. Like, I get it. It's like cat and mouse, and like you're supposed to lead and chase, and like that's all fine. But part of dating me is accepting me as I am. And I am just not the person that's going to wait around for you to text me. Like, if we like each other and if we see this going somewhere, you have to understand that I'm a busy single mom and like I need to plan in advance. So part of that is like not waiting to the last second to plan dates and being able to communicate ahead of time. So that kind of goes back to what I was saying about dating people who are ready to accept me as I am right now. So we will see how it goes. Side note, I got a haircut today and I'm super excited about it. So shout out to Lucy at Salon Pop. Thank you for cutting my hair today. Hold on, I'm just checking my Hinge. I feel like this could be fun. We can like go through Hinge profiles together. Okay, this is cool. All right, so we'll go through a couple of the guys that like liked me. Okay, I feel like I should scooch up for this. All right, and we can go through them together. And if it's a no on like the first picture, I'm just gonna tell you it's a no. So that's David, and he's a no. This is John, and he is also a no. This is Sean. He's also a no. Oh, God. That was mean. This is Andrew. He's a no. This is Gustav, and I'm assuming it's not the old lady, the other one. So let's see. I mean, the name Gustav is a little tough. He's 31, 5'9". Honestly, with these younger guys, I don't think that they can handle me, but he is wearing like a Ralph's coffee hat, and I really like that place. So, okay. Let's see how Gustav does. Okay, this is Jonathan, and that's gonna be a no. God, this is all awkward that you see like my honest reaction. I don't even know that guy's name. John's gonna be a no. Okay, this is Joseph, also a no. And that's all of the likes for right now. Woof, you can kind of see it's pretty brutal out there. So like when you get a good one or two, it's like, it's worth something. It's like you hold on to them and you kind of become a little invested because it's rough out there and you don't want to go back out there. Anyways, we're going to wrap this episode up. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure that you hit subscribe wherever you're watching this. It means so much to me and you guys are helping me so much more than you know by doing that. I can't even tell you how appreciative I am. So thank you guys again so much for watching. I'm Tori. This is Young Content Divorce and we'll catch you next time. Bye.